Our protagonist turned into the flabby man.
Winter arrived, and we returned to his father's palace, where the old man said he shouldn't go out there as he's too thin and might end up catching a gust of wind and flying away. But he would go anyway. This is because he needs to train Namgung's son. So he gets up saying he will visit his uncle in Anhui province and leaves. At this moment, he was in his room packing his clothes. He was happy to finally have freedom and wished to leave without anyone recognizing him. But little did he know, a large carriage was being prepared with over 20 guards. Outside it seemed like they were all gathered to leave, but all these people would be a nuisance for him. So he ended up having an idea. He called everyone to drink with him inside, saying they will only leave tomorrow. His sister was thinking of bidding farewell to her brother, until suddenly she heard her brother's voice and several other drunks. She decided to wait for him outside. At this moment, the guard was poisoned by Ken. Not with alcohol, but with a temporary substance that dispersed his internal energy. He probably won't be able to move until the next morning. This was a paralyzing poison that his doctor gave him as a protective measure. He was about to leave when his sister approached. She hugged him and asked him to take care of himself, not to take risks. If he felt too tired or afraid, he could come back anytime. She and her father would always be there waiting for him. So he took the best horse given by the emperor in the stables and set off on his journey. The next day he arrived at a small village, but people still thought he was a criminal, at least a chicken thief. He had to disguise himself as an officer sent by the Yu clan, saying he came here to look for something for his master's son. So he asked if they had noticed a stone emitting red light on this mountain, but they were confused. An old man told him that he had seen it several times while walking on the mountain at sunset. He said it looked like a red light reflected by the setting sun, shining like a red beam. Quickly he asked the man where this place was. The location inside the mountain was called Pagoda Mountain, and he advised him not to go there. It was the territory of the Nine Dragons clan, and they were not ordinary bandits. They were extremely cruel. This only made Hyun certain that this was the right place. So he asked the old man to guide him to the Nine Dragons clan. At first the old man was afraid, but upon seeing Hyun's pleading and almost crying look, he agreed. Thus, the two set off into the forest. In the end, they arrived there, but he couldn't put the life of the man who helped him in danger, so he asked for directions. The man pointed to the location. He also assured that the man would be well rewarded. At sunset, the red light shone. It was the virgin ginseng. He moved with all speed, crossing the stream. He thought about fighting underwater in case he was discovered. In this case, he had an advantage. Finally, he reached the Nine Dragons stronghold, but he didn't want to use force. So he began to spread his spiritual energy in search of the virgin ginseng, but instead of the item, he found a bandit beating a woman, and when the child started crying, the man began to go after her. For a moment, Hyun hesitated to save them, but soon he decided to intervene. In a split second, the man was already lifeless on the ground. Hyun hadn't intended to get involved, but upon seeing the little child with her mother, he decided he would help them until the end. After that, more guards started emerging from a nearby hut. Evidently, our protagonist of the loose skin put them all to sleep. After tossing them into a nearby cabin, he noticed there were several other citizens inside. At this point, he saw no other option but to help them too, but the people, being nervous, didn't seem very rational, so he decided to turn the child's mother into the leader who would guide the people. At this moment, a plan had already been orchestrated. When one of the guards entered the cabin to look for his men, he noticed that his men were on the floor sleeping soundly. Quickly deducing that it was those people who did this, when he thought to say something, it was already too late. The fat-skinned man hit his neck. Thus, the man went to sleep with his comrades. It was time to proceed with the plan. The objective was the main guard post. The fat man crossed the area in the blink of an eye. Quickly, he was under the guard post. In one hand, he held a torch. In the other hand, he was carrying a punch. Imbuing much mana in his attack, he struck with all his force against the guard post, where he literally knocked down the guard post with the man who was on guard. This guy didn't expect, ha ha ha. People were incredulous seeing this from afar, but soon they remembered that this would be the signal to proceed with the plan. Everyone should immediately evacuate and flee. It was also possible to see someone passing at an absurd speed. This was the dead-skinned man with a torch in hand. He came here to set fire to one of the cabins. His intention was to turn this place into hell now. In another nearby cabin, there were several bandits sleeping inside. Suddenly they woke up to a bright light. That was because several cabins were now on fire. The protagonist appeared at the door of their cabin, self-proclaiming himself as the arsonist, the skinny man with loose skin. He burned that cabin, also burned several others while running around trying to avoid many conflicts. Soon a group of bandits found him. His best option at this point was to run, but soon he was surrounded by another man. He easily dodged the attack and quickly knocked out the man. The loose-skinned man was unstoppable, like a lightning bolt falling from the sky. He crossed that village that night. There were 2 guards at the gate, who were soon attracted by a small thrown stone. When he bent down to pick it up, he noticed a bright flash behind him. Only then did the foolish guard realize that the place he was supposed to be guarding was now on fire, so they ran out desperately to try to help. At this moment, everyone lurking at the gate took the opportunity to flee. The girl's mother could only hope that the warrior and her savior would emerge alive from this confusion, so she ran with all her might towards freedom. Our loose-skinned lord was running with all his might through the village in an attempt to draw attention to himself, but soon his strength began to wane. It was only at this moment that he realized someone was by his side ready to strike. The man was fast enough to not give him a chance to dodge, hitting the loose-skinned man squarely, making him fly several meters. The rock asks who the intruder is, but as the loose-skinned lord didn't respond to his question, soon he was surrounded by various enemies who even began to ask if he wears bandages because he's ugly. Guards began arriving from all sides, and the last blow he received caused him a lot of damage. The rock orders his vassals to go put out the fire. While he tries to recruit the loose-skinned lord to his side, Hyun sits down to gain time to recover his spiritual energy. At this moment, he sits down to catch his breath. Recruiting talents to work as bandits is harder than it seems. He thinks about it, but those who have strength and agility are very necessary. The leader of the bandits soon starts to wonder about the loose-skinned lord's behavior. Is he meditating excessively without caring about them? In a short time, he finally recovers. The spiritual energy becomes frightening, and then he asks, "Why would a wolf serve a mere puppy?" The leader at that moment immediately orders his subordinates to advance to deal with him, as if they wanted to crush him to death. In just one blow, his mask falls off, and the men see that he is actually ugly because he's full of loose skin. The battle continues. Hyun is very fast, and although they are not strong, they cooperate harmoniously. Working together, they finally manage to reach the loose-skinned lord, hitting him and making him fall to the ground. Even a lone lion would fall before a large group of battle-hardened hyenas. Now realizing he has no options left, he decides to change his fighting style. He starts to become lighter and clumsier. Then he activates the immortal step of the 8 drunks to easily pass through the guards. Even the leader is surprised by the way he moves. He changes shape again. Using the shadowless flight technique, he moves as fast as lightning towards the leader. They exchange blows in a fraction of seconds, but Hyun knew it was superficial. The leader wouldn't die just from that. Now that his powers were exhausted, he could only fall directly off the cliff to escape. As he falls and thinks he's still no match for all of them, Hyun thinks he will come back to cut off all their heads. Then he disappears off the cliff, showing his middle finger.
Look at this dude. No.
This leaves the rock with an angry eye patch. He orders them to retrieve the loose-skinned lord's body from below the cliff, but soon one of his men arrives to give him a warning. It seems the people they were holding hostage have disappeared. This makes the bald man furious, wanting even more to eliminate the loose-skinned lord. At this moment, falling off the cliff, Hyun takes advantage of already being in hell to dive headfirst. His aim is to land as lightly as possible. He needs to land softly in the water. So he finally dives seeming like a screw. His fear is that he will hit the ground with the speed of the dive generated by the height of the fall. He finally manages to stop, but soon he started to be pulled downwards, and this time it wasn't because of his weight. Yet again he sank like the Titanic. After being pulled for a long time by the current, he ended up coming out in a cave on the other side. At this moment he just wanted to rest due to the gigantic exhaustion from the battle, when suddenly the energy of his heart began to react to something. His heart was ordering him to move forward to find it soon. He would find the virgin ginseng. After a while swimming through the cave, the loose-skinned man was startled by what he saw. What was in front of him was the virgin ginseng, a beautiful plant emanating aura. Hyun was so happy that he started to cry. At the same time, he remembered the beggar's words saying it would be easy to find the ginseng. Probably when he returns, he'll set fire to the beggar. Without wasting any more time, he goes to the ginseng, and he pulls it out of the ground with his hands. This was truly the legendary item called virgin ginseng, and it was now in his hands. He even looks around to see if this isn't a prank. Not even the servant of chaos could be faster than him to grab this item. As is still weighing 1,000 pounds, he devoured the ginseng with much happiness. Suddenly his spiritual energy started to rise. Feeling so much pleasure, he couldn't stop eating that piece of plant. Sitting down to cultivate, the loose-skinned man was very happy. Now he would overcome everything and everyone. Returning to the village, Hyun's vassal was searching for information about his master who had passed by there, but since the loose-skinned man had falsified his name, the vassal couldn't find him. But he wasn't here because he wanted to, going back in time to the patriarch's mansion while he was sleeping. To his misfortune, at this moment someone entered through the door shouting. This person was the father of the former angry fat man. Realizing the vassal was sleeping, he starts hitting him saying he'll make him sleep forever now.
I understood that reference.
This is the reason the vassal is here in the village looking for Hyun. Some time later he finds the fat man's horse and starts questioning the boy where the owner of this horse is while crying desperately. After learning that he went to Pagoda Mountain where many bandits live, he starts crying even more. Imagining that his master is being beaten by criminals, he runs desperately.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. Leave a like if you enjoyed it and share with your friends. See you in the next video. Bye for now.